Welcome to Money on Tap, your personal finance headquarters. Money on Tap is where we bring out the professionals' experience and some fun in what we call three-dimensional investing, utilizing insurance, brokerage, and fee-based planning. That's what we do on this radio show. You guys know where that comes from?
I do not.
I don't know, but I'm getting a sense that he's going to tell me.
No, we'll leave that. Maybe we'll leave that for some trivia at the end of the shoe there. We look at all sides of the issues here on Money on Tap, bringing a fully independent planning perspective to the table. My name is Seth Krussman, and I'm joined here once again with John Ryder and Ben Brayshaw. Good morning, guys.
Good morning, Seth.
Good morning, everybody.
You can reach us at 855-226-8551. That's 855-226-8551, or email us at info@yourmoneyontap.com. You can also find us at Facebook /3D Investing. Today, we're going to talk about what may be a barrier to many people coming in to work with a financial advisor. And that barrier keeps a lot of people from making good and positive steps when it comes to their money. And you may ask, what is that barrier? We'll get to that in a few minutes, but it's time now for Money in the News.
You know, John, I realize I said good morning, Seth, again. It's just got to be something in the back of my mind that I don't say good morning, John.
I don't know why that is. I am offended, but I am not going to dwell on it today. So, Seth, it's nice being here with you this morning, too.
It's nice being with you, too, Seth.
Yes. Seth, you are back from vacation, aren't you? You're back from a little trip you took. Tell us about that real quickly before we get into Money in the News.
Sure. A little personal side note here. Well, my mom and dad, back in 1968, when my oldest sister was 4 months old, decided that they were really tired of trying to battle the crowds to get out into the wilderness, the great wilderness of the Northwest here. And they spotted an article, or, Dad was watching the classified ads and saw cabins, for sale.
Oh, yeah.
And so they ventured 2 hours north into the Mount St. Helens Gifford Pinchot National Forest out there and found 4 walls and a roof was what they found. And they, there was no floor. They actually were taking their soda bottles and turning them upside down to fill the knot holes in the flooring, so that this little teeny tiny, potbelly stove that they vented out a window could actually heat the place there.
So you're saying rustic, Seth, very rustic.
Very, very rustic.
Wow.
Yeah. So anyways, that was Mom and Dad's 1968 adventure. And since then they had 2 more, my other sister and I. And so we spent a lot of time up there that I don't remember prior to 1980, Mountain Blue, Mount St. Helens. Anybody remember that?
I remember the big story in the news, obviously.
Yeah,
it was a huge deal.
Yeah. So anyways, we 4 years later, they finally opened that back up, and we went back. We've been going back there as a family ever since, making a lot of memories, and try to take about a week with the kids and experience that with them and my sisters and their kids. And it's a really good time, really enjoy and appreciate Mom and Dad for making that a part of our experience and our family.
Excellent. Just a legacy that they passed on to you guys. So that's terrific. And you'll probably pass it on to your kids at some point.
Yeah, I think that's what we're trying to do is, take time throughout the year to focus on our family. Awesome. And experiences with their family. And some of that is, huckleberry picking, and some of that is, trying to launch the older ones off of an inner tube. That's all fun, right?
Yeah, good times. Great.
Yeah, we come back with our arms and our legs and a few bee stings, and we're all excited about it.
Hey, that's what the summer is for, so that's terrific.
You look relaxed, and that's good. That's good. So Money in the News. Well, the first article we have here today, which is honestly very disturbing.
I know. When I saw this, I was like, I don't think I like this.
It's about Google.
This. Yeah.
Google search knows where you are, even if you disabled location history. Now,
wait, what?
Yes. You heard him right.
Yeah.
Why did you just fire something in the back of my brain that said lockdown? Like I just got really scared about what you just said there. Like they're, Big Brother and all that.
Yeah, so this is in the news, and this is a hot story. So Google is not being entirely transparent about their location history, and they're admitting to it now that there's two ways to shut off the location monitoring, and the most obvious one that they make apparent doesn't quite shut everything down.
Yeah, so everyone thinks, okay, hey, we're good. Yeah, we've heard about this Big Brother thing out there. We'll shut it off. Yeah, we were going to shut it off. However, there's another way, a deeper way you have to shut this thing off, huh?
Yeah, so it says that overall, it seems that the primary location gathering aspect related to the web app history comes from Google searches. When that setting is turned on, Google can provide more relevant information. Obviously, everyone knows that. There's no doubt that having Google be aware of your location can be handy when you do a search. And then you skip down, and it says, oh, I'm sorry, you skip up. I think I skipped that. After disabling location history, turn off, quote-unquote, web and app history, but note that your experience using Google services will be significantly different going forward. And so there's this like secondary location that you have to turn off, this quote unquote. So if you're looking for this, it's web and app history.
Yeah.
What is Google doing with this information?
I don't know. Don't you guys ever feel? Do you guys feel like when you're
They're taking over the world?
I feel like sometimes when you're searching for something, and then you go to another web page, or you come back the next day. Like I was looking for some patio furniture the other day, and it's so weird because all of a sudden on my Yahoo email page and all over, there are these different deals for me on patio furniture, and it's just weird because it's so unrelated. It's a different day, and it's just
something
strange.
You did, something
triggered that. Yeah, and it's just. And I feel like we're not getting away from that. It's going to be more and more. Like I think there are a lot of these location services and all. Like if you're in a city, Ben, you were recently in New York City. I was recently in New York City, and I remember, if you type in a web page there, you could be walking down the street and you're looking at your app to see where you're going, and all of a sudden an ad pops up for something that you were searching for before. It's just weird. Like, hey, yeah, pull into this coffee shop or whatever it may be.
Right.
Just odd.
Yeah. No, I mean, and what is it tracking? The interesting is it's web and app history, right? So it's monitoring what apps you're opening while you're working on your phone. So, like for instance, if you are in New York City and you open up Dunkin' Donuts or Starbucks app, it somewhat probably knows something along those lines to send you.
They're looking for coffee. How about Caribou Coffee instead?
Or whatever this. It's like, there's a coffee store right here that someone might have paid Google to be a preferred vendor.
10% off. Yeah, whatever.
It's crazy that they have these multiple layers of turning everything off, especially when it's like turn off when you disable location history, you would think your location history is turned off.
One would think. It's interesting. I don't know if you guys happen to see Mark Zuckerberg, when he was on the in front of Congress, giving his just talking about Facebook and all.
I did watch some of it.
It was weird because I could feel him backpedaling a lot on these different things. And quite honestly, in the news here, it really has been the case that they've been shutting down a lot of the conservative viewpoints that people have out there. And if you there's different folks I can think of that post. I don't post much at all, but they've had a lot of their posts rejected because it's called hate speech or whatever, when it has nothing to do with hate speech. Nothing absolutely at all to do with hate speech. But yeah, it's really weird how this social media has kind of almost taken over, and the power that is inside of social media, and also the power that they have that we don't even know that they have, like this article that you just brought up today, Ben.
Yeah, I think the other thing is there's this whole business mindset, right? So you got Zuckerberg, Facebook and all these different major players, and the way that they make their money is making sure that when they touch you, it's relevant, right? So they're always trying to make sure that everything that you see, everything that you hear, read, whatever ad pops up on the side, it's relevant to you, because otherwise it's just annoying.
Yeah,
and they need to.
It's annoying anyway, but yeah.
No, it is.
Yeah,
but if it's even in the background of patio stuff, it's going to draw your attention in.
Yeah,
and they need that technology, and they need these loopholes to be able to figure out how to get information from your brain to figure out what to put in front of you as close as possible to what your wishes, desires, or needs are.
Yeah, it's troubling to me. I don't like it. I don't like it.
Yeah, there's actually a TED Talk that I stumbled across a year ago, 2 years ago, I don't even remember, but it had to do exactly with what you're talking about, which is our time that we spend viewing. And that is what it's really boiled down to, is like, how much time do you actually spend looking at the app? And that's what they're designing everything around, is to get eyeballs in that time. And they've got it down to a science of, I don't know, there's seconds that they parts of the second that they've been able to craft their advertising and attention seeking from the eyeballs, us, the viewers. And it's really an interesting thing that their Google is, has a couple of different layers here. I mean, there is some benefits. I do realize that, to having, a search history activated, because it simplifies things. If I've gone to, whatever location I went to before on my Google Maps, for it to pop back up because it's a frequently used location, that's part of that secondary layer that they're talking about here in our search history. But there is also that first initial layer where you're talking about the mattress firm that's going to come. They're basically wanting to get inside of your house right now. And that is a little disconcerting, when not knowing, I guess, what level of engagement we have with our media.
And obviously, it's a big thing out there. If there's like a serial killer out there or whatever it may be, where are they going to go search first? They're going to go search web history, what happened. And so privacy really is kind of a thing of the past, I think, when it comes to internet and that kind of thing. Well,
that's horrible to say, John. Privacy is the thing of the past. I mean, we can't accept that as a nation and say, hey, you know what? My privacy's over.
But doesn't that seem like kind of the path that things are going on right now? The way
it is.
It's weird. Not that I like it. I'm just saying it seems like that's kind of the way things are going.
Well, I know there's kind of like the I don't have anything to hide kind of perspective, and so what does it matter? But the truth is we're still all entitled to being who we want to be.
Absolutely.
And, I think about this secondary layer that's called the web and app history. Well, today there's only a secondary layer. There could be a tertiary layer.
Of course.
That either exists that we don't know about yet, or
the article doesn't know that yet. Yeah,
the article doesn't know that yet, or it's coming, right?
Or the article's been paid off, so that's why they don't know it.
Yeah, and John's a conspiracy theorist.
Yes.
But and what laws are there around transparency around for these companies? I don't know.
Well, the question is, how do you choose, and how does our country establish the foresight and the rigidity to understand how to protect who we are? And that's the complication that everyone in Congress is dealing with. And I honestly don't think it matters which side of the table you're sitting on, because, I think the Democrats have a lot to hide. I think the Republicans have a lot to hide. I think they're all sitting there saying to themselves, I want my privacy, right? So I don't think that that's, unforeseen as an issue. I just think that, the contract laws and so forth, they get so skewed. Like if you open up the app or you sign up for an app, well, you all, they make it so that you can't even have that app unless you agree to all sorts of waiving of your rights. And, at some point in time, you have to be able to say, I don't have to worry about waiving my rights in certain areas. I should be able to transparently say yes or no to something and be done with it. So,
our second article in Money in the News has to do with the SEC. They're issuing a warning about investment products that are available to you inside of your self-directed individual IRAs. Now, Ben, Seth, we do a lot of self-directed individual IRAs. We do a ton of them, and we do them with obviously legitimate investments in there. However, in this country, we have the opportunity to go into a lot of different areas that really you should be quite careful of. Just because you have the opportunity to go into those areas doesn't mean that you necessarily should.
Well, yeah. So I did a self-directed IRA, and what they're talking about specifically in this type of self-directed IRA is someone who takes their money out of a traditional kind of investment-based IRA program and throws that money into a piece of real estate or precious jewels or gold coins or something like that. And you have a custodian, which every retirement account requires. But what the SEC is doing, and I'm really glad that they're actually stepping up. I just wish that they had a bigger voice that people listen to.
Yeah,
they're a big organization, obviously, but I don't think that the mainstream is listening to the SEC.
No, in fact, the article that we're referencing today is from CNBC, and they're actually talking about it's a quarterly investment guide that they give out to their readers, basically, and they're warning. In fact, the headline is this: $100 billion retirement risk. SEC issues new warning about IRA fraud and cryptocurrencies. Now, cryptocurrencies have certainly been in the news here the last 2, 3, 4 years, especially I think the last couple.
I mean, I get questions on a weekly basis.
Yeah,
about
like my son-in-law is doing cryptocurrency. He tells me that I should do Bitcoin.
Yeah.
And what do you think?
Yeah.
And we're usually like, run the other way.
Yeah. Well,
here's an article from just this last week in the business and finance here at the Wall Street Journal. And that was actually brought to us by Paul Vigna and Shane Shiflett. That is a warning of crypto pump and dumps and distorted trading. And they go on in the article basically to say that there's a review of the trading data and online communications from traders January to end of July, where they identified 175 pump and dump schemes involving 121 different digital coins. And that is that crypto coin, folks. And if you're not familiar with what a pump and dump is this is basically an inflation of that market. And then all of a sudden, the people that are inflating it pull out of that market, and they get a significant return on those dollars that they've put in. However, the average investor that's not really paying attention or isn't aware of the scheme gets left behind. And it's happened multiple times in different areas of our market. But this is a new market, right, that people are creating with these cryptocurrencies, and it has an opportunity for people like that have the ability to do this, to influence that market and to unfortunately leave a lot of people in a loss.
And Seth, it sounds so attractive too, because it's funny if you do if you did a search on Bitcoin on Google, guess what you're going to start getting ads for? Trading in Bitcoin. And hey, if you had put $100 into Bitcoin, you would have $1.2 million and all this kind of thing. But it is a very attractive sounding investment out there. But I will tell you that anyone out there that knows anything about this market is really telling you to stay clear of these types of investments. Very speculative.
So let me give you some information that I've gleaned from this experience.
Yeah.
And I have a client who works in the drug enforcement arena, and he's an independent now. He's out of the kind of the force per se, whatever, without being descriptive. But he was telling me that the cryptocurrency world is primarily it is the dark web currency. It is the drug.
The black market.
It is the world of evil.
Currency.
And it's over 50% of that currency is used for that process. And so, when you expose yourself to that world, you should kind of be more aware of who you're working with, right? And that's a scary place to be. But there is so much theft in the cryptocurrency world that even people who open up these accounts, I heard that the theft, because if people don't know how to use them right, and if someone steals from you, it's impossible to prove it was your money. It's all this crazy stuff. I mean, it's really weird.
It's hard enough online without this type of thing.
Yeah, it's there's so much regulation. I don't think that cryptocurrency is not a potential way of the future. I mean, that would be kind of, I think, ignorant to say. Just considering the technology level that our world's moving to. But I think why I wouldn't invest in it today is because there's no real regulation over it. No government. It's a world-based currency. There's no government, regulating it, caring for it.
Which some people might say that's a great advantage. Hey, no government regulations. But
government regulations, help
to protect
that, to make sure the currency is legit and strong and not fraudulent. And so those are types of things that we need to do. So when the SEC is sending out this warning, I applaud them. I'm glad they are doing something about it. I wish we could figure out ways to actually get ads to educate people, because this helps us when we can point to an ad, an article like this and say, because we get a question about Bitcoin, sometimes they'll say, hey, there's potential around technology maybe or something like that, but you've really got to be careful with this. And some people, and it's always a story about how somebody made so much money on it.
Right.
I've never met anyone that's made so much money on it. I'd like to meet somebody.
You're hanging out around the wrong water cooler, Ben, because it's going on all around me. All my neighbors are talking about, how they just made $1 million last year on Bitcoin.
Interesting. Yeah, not so much out here.
Yeah. And meanwhile, even in the Pershing exchange world and so forth, it was just opening up on trading in the trust world. What, in the last 6-8 months? I think.
Yeah.
It wasn't. It's like some people said they bought it years and years ago. I'm like, okay, so it hasn't even been a legitimate place to even get it. So if you're doing that, hey, God bless you. I'm happy you made a bunch of money, but I would say take your profit and run. That's what I would say at this point. But that's my thinking.
So that's going to do it for us at Money in the News. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back.
Hi, my name is Ben Brayshaw, one of the co-hosts of Money on Tap. If you have questions when it comes to your retirement and are looking for a personalized solution, contact us at Brayshaw Financial Group. In today's volatile stock market, we can help you plan to find your successful retirement solution. Am I saving enough? Am I saving into the right places? Do my investments match my appetite for risk? Do I have a tax strategy that is going to help me keep more of what I earn? How can I maximize my Social Security income? If you are like most people, you are getting closer and closer to your retirement and may be wondering if you're taking the right steps. If you're in retirement, you may be wondering, am I maximizing my income while preserving my estate and caring for my family? We talk about all things financial in what we call three-dimensional investing, putting a plan around your financial future. If you feel that now is the time to start getting the answers to some of these questions for your own situation, give us a call at Brayshaw Financial Group at 855-226-8551. Headquartered in Bedford, New Hampshire, we have offices throughout New England and across the country. We would love the opportunity to show you how we can help. There's absolutely no cost or obligation just to meet with us, and we welcome you to our office. Call us at 855-226-8551.
More Money on Tap in just a moment. On this Cliff Notes edition of Money on Tap, Seth, Ben, and John look at risk and how it affects not only our investments, but virtually every aspect of our lives, both personal and professional.
I think it's important to kind of understand and identify for people, what is that? It looks different for everybody, but generally speaking, and this is from our friends at FINRA, they say that risk is uncertainty with respect to your investments that has the potential to negatively affect your financial welfare. You could buy something near the top and still never see a return on an investment.
In a lot of the risks that you're taking with a lot of different investments, you can't even quantify. There's so many subcategories of risk. And with each company, there's some stuff that you don't even know. I mean, you don't even know if there's a problem inside of it, like in an Enron scenario, which is horrific.
Or if you're running a business, there's just different risks that come involved there. If you say the wrong thing, you have legal risks, you have investment risk, you have operational risk. Think about operational risk. You make the wrong decision with an IT, with a computer program, it could really affect.
Thanks for joining us for this Cliff Notes edition of Money on Tap, with great tips from the pros in three-dimensional investing, utilizing insurance, brokerage, and fee-based planning. Now here's more Money on Tap with Seth, Ben, and John.
Welcome back. You're listening to Money on Tap. You can reach us at 855-226-8551 or email us at info@yourmoneyontap.com.
So today I think we have a really interesting show topic that we're talking about today because Ben a few weeks ago was talking to me, and I think he had a real good point. He was saying, I think sometimes people are a little scared to come in and talk to a financial advisor because they feel sometimes that they might be judged. Ben, tell me about that a little bit. What are you thinking?
Well, we were just chatting about some of the feedback we had and stuff, and we know that there's some of our listeners will kind of call us, and I mean, we have people come in. It's great. They never know what to expect.
Yeah.
And they always seem to have some concern or hesitation, something that's holding them back in one area or another. And I just said, you know what? I wish people just knew this is the No Judgment Zone. And that's where the title of the show came from.
So the title of our show is the No Judgment Zone. And, we really try to be that for our listeners. And we have been really grateful to meet with a ton of you listeners out there, and we really enjoy getting to know you, each and every one of your stories. But you know what? We find that every story, every person has a different story. There's some people that have a ton of money. There's some people that don't have much money at all. But the fact is, we're able to help each one that comes in one way or another. In this business, Ben, and I know you've worked with people over the years, and Seth, you as well, where there's some people that will say, we have these investment minimums. If you don't have $500,000, then we don't want to talk to you. That is certainly not the case with us at all. We love talking with people. In fact, what we really do try to be what we call that no judgment zone. Okay, so Seth, do you guys have Planet Fitness out there in your neck of the woods?
Yes, we do.
Yeah.
It's everywhere, I think.
And just like Volvo years ago had their basically their proposition statement was, if you buy a Volvo, it's what? very, very safe. They didn't say the Volvo's very, very fast. They didn't say it's reliable.
It's not Farfignugan, is it?
What's that?
It's not Farfignugan, is it?
No.
Oh, okay.
But basically, Volvo, we all knew that if you bought a Volvo, then you were buying the safest car you could possibly buy. You'd always have your kids drive a Volvo. Why? Because it's the safest thing they could possibly drive. You'd always want your parents driving a Volvo because you know it's the safest car around. So the proposition statement for Planet Fitness has always been, since I ever can remember, and they advertise like crazy around here, but they call it the No Judgment Zone. Now, why would you need a No Judgment Zone when it comes to fitness? Well, I think we all probably know the answer to that. I think
I big time need it.
I'm kind of insulted by that statement. There's a lot of assumption going into that.
So, Ben, have you ever been to like a Gold's Gym before, ever in the past?
I have not.
You haven't? Okay. So Ben always did a lot of
Ben
always did a lot of home gyms because Ben didn't want to be judged by people. So Ben always would get his own treadmill and his own weights because he did not want to go into that judgment zone of Gold's Gym. Okay, so I remember Gold's Gym. Now it's called something else. I think it's called the Workout Zone or whatever it is. I don't know. But there you have these guys. They're very, very buff. They're kind of over in the corner. And they're lifting weights. And these guys are huge. I mean, I think all that they do, and I don't want to judge them here, but I think all that they do is they spend a lot of time doing bench presses, doing curls, doing pull-ups, and they make the rest of us at the gym just feel maybe a little bit inferior. Maybe you guys are the guys that were at Gold's Gym making me feel inferior. Seth, I don't know if that was you or not.
That was my whole goal at Gold's Gym was to make you feel inferior.
But, you see these guys, and it's like, man, I could never be like that. These guys just have it all together. And you go in there, you're trying to figure out how to use the machines. And these guys, most of the time, don't even use machines. They're just using the free weights over there in the corner. But you kind of feel like, wow, did I even sit
John,
on this machine correctly or not?
I have a number of somebody that I recommend you spend some time on their couch talking to them about this. I think it might be beneficial.
Yes, years of going to the gym, being made feel inferior. I need a couch. I need a shrink to talk to today. So thank you, Seth. After the show, if you can get me that number, that would be great. But anyway, there's a lot of people
here. They've done wonders for me.
That's right. There's a lot of people that have been feeling that judgment out there. And so I think Planet Fitness did a good job of getting across the message to the audience out there across the United States. These guys are growing like crazy, and how they're really.
I didn't even hear their No Judgment Zone. All I heard was like $10 a month, and I was like, "What?"
Well, that's what I was getting to, because these guys are the masters of getting $9.99 a month from everyone out there. People join the gym, they're there for 3 months, and guess what? 3 years later, they still have that membership because they think, you know what? I need to go back. I should go back. Heck. It's only $9.99 a month. Who cares?
I feel better knowing that I don't have to sign up again.
Yeah, it's easy. Yeah, and so there are some people, yours included, that may have a membership that they're not using optimally, should I say? And so this thing is a great cash cow. In fact, I was talking to one of the guys at the counter there. He's like, "Yeah, you would never believe how many people come here. January, February, very busy. Starts to slow down March, April, and then when the summer comes, let me tell you, there's no one in that place, but they keep on collecting their $9.99 a month. I don't know. It sounds like a pretty darn good business enterprise to me. But they have really built their business on the No Judgment Zone, making people not feel judged when they come in there. In fact,
when they don't.
Yeah, when they don't. Yeah, we're not going to judge you if you don't come. Don't come. It doesn't matter. But they also have some different things that are kind of funny there. And being a member there of Planet Fitness, I can tell you, if you are actually over there in the corner, you're one of those big guys, and you're putting your weights up and down, you're doing your bench presses and all that. If you actually take your weight and throw it on the floor, sometimes in Gold's Gym, this is what happens. They'll take their gym, the big heavy weight, and just throw it on the floor, and it crashes on the floor. If you do that at a Planet Fitness, they actually have a sensor built into the floor when an alarm goes off. It's called the lunk alert. And that lunk alert goes woo, 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 woo.
This kind of sounds like maybe a little bit of reverse judgment. Is that what we're trying to, the pendulum swinging the other way now?
Yeah, so now they're basically saying, hey, if you get too crazy with things, we're gonna pull it out to you. So they're basically saying, hey, listen, this is a gym for everyone. And really what we want to emphasize when it comes to financial planning, this transition here is maybe a little weak, but when it comes to financial planning, there are a lot of reasons why people might not want to go and talk to a financial advisor. And we're going to go into some of those reasons why and talk about really maybe reasons those shouldn't be factors for you not coming and talking to someone.
Yeah, see, I think when we chatted about starting this show as an idea and conversation was really just to communicate to the public that, people that do have, there's people out there that want to contact us that are just, they feel like, they haven't done enough. They're not savvy enough. They don't know enough. I mean, all the different things that we've written down here, and we're going to go through some of them.
Yeah.
But, if you're sitting there listening to this conversation, you need to understand that the first step to real financial health is talking with somebody, even if it's not us.
Sure.
Right. Is just saying, hey, listen, I know I'm not going to be the smartest guy in the room when I'm sitting with financial people. That's just the way it is, because that's what and if you are the smartest guy sitting in the room with a financial person, you need to run and get out of there. You need to work with somebody who knows more than you. That's, my parents.
Hey, you might know your topic very, very well, right?
Yeah. My parents used to always say, it's always better to be surrounded by people who know more than you than for you to be the smartest guy in the room.
Yeah.
And, that's the type of thing in getting that mentality out there of saying, hey, we're looking for people to be resources to our well-being and to our success. Because we always talk to clients, we're here to help you find success.
And, you talk about the smartest person in the room, Ben. Here's how I look at it. Okay, so we may have been doing this in this career for many, many years. And so obviously we have a good handle on what we're doing as far as helping guide people in the right direction when it comes to their retirement. But, when it comes to your career out there, you may be an engineer, you may be at BAE, you may be at Northrop Grumman, you may be at any host of companies. And there's a lot of topics that we would have zero clue on when it comes to our smarts. Like if we came and consulted with you, we would probably feel pretty lost pretty quickly when it comes to those types of things. Yeah, we may be good at math and that type of thing, but when it comes to engineering and all, we may be pretty short in the smarts department when it comes to that. So don't ever feel like just because, in fact, we talk with people all the time, especially we have a lot of engineers that we talk to, a lot of business owners that are very, very bright people, but sometimes what they don't have is they don't have the time to deal with what they have to deal with. We have several, and just thinking of a couple guys right now in my head, CEOs of major companies here in the New England area. And these guys are very, very bright, but they just don't have the time to deal with all the complexities that it takes to manage their own personal financial situation. But Seth, we're going to actually kind of roll through some of the different reasons why people might think, I just don't want to come in. Let's roll through some of those and talk to folks about those.
Sure. Yeah. There's kind of an ad infinitum to this list, of course, but some of the big headlines might be you haven't saved enough. You didn't start saving until later. Maybe you didn't know how to allocate a portfolio. You may not feel like you're charitable enough in your giving. Maybe don't feel like you don't have enough money to start working with an advisor, just to name a few there. And, these are all reasons that, people don't sit down with an advisor to begin with.
Well, I think the one where you say, I haven't saved enough. I mean, that's to me, like that's number one. I think people are sitting out there saying, I just don't have enough money to talk to a financial advisor.
Yeah. And you know what? In some cases, that may be true. I mean, there's some.
I mean, that could be true.
Yeah.
I would say that, if you feel like you haven't saved enough, actually have someone tell you that, or at least make sure that, how you're saving or where you're saving is the right place to do it. Because that's the first thing. It's like, you may not have saved enough, but what happens if you're saving in the wrong spot?
Yeah.
What happens if your company has a retirement plan and you haven't done enough research to find out that, you could be eligible for some sort of match, or, I met one person who didn't realize that if you contributed, if the company was going to do a match, they would determine it at the end of the year and then it would come in, but you had to be a contributor and they would only match up to what they were willing to up to a certain point. So you may not have gotten a match, but you could have. And they had realized they had missed 2 out of the last 3 years. The company had matched.
Yeah. So when it comes to this, I think sometimes the shame factor, people feel like, I don't have enough, or I don't know enough. You know what? That is really certainly no reason not to come and chat, because we all have different things. I think we all wish we had saved more. I think we all wish we had done things differently, perhaps in the past. But there certainly are opportunities for improvement in the future. And the only way to figure that out is to talk to someone that can actually give you some help when it comes to that type of thing. So we'd love to be able to have that opportunity with you. But there's so many reasons why. Sometimes you have a husband and wife, Ben, and we've found this in the past, and actually not too long ago, where the husband kind of took control of the finances, but he really didn't have a good handle of what was going on. So the wife, we get in there in the meeting, and the wife's kind of like, I thought this was taken care of, but not necessarily the case.
Yeah.
And so sometimes there's some embarrassment, like, well, maybe I'm not leading my family well enough, or I'm not doing a good enough job. But the best time to find that out is not later on, but now.
The other thing is I would say that people fear cost.
sure, this is going to cost me a lot of money. I don't have much money as it is, and then I'm going to get so many fees and that kind of thing you're talking about.
And I think that's a fair concern. I'm not saying that every scenario is going to be costly. Like when you meet with us for the first time or two, we don't charge for that. We really want to just try to see if there's. I mean, if we can give you direction and there's nothing we can do for you, we're going to give you as much direction as we can and send you along your way, because it's not beneficial for you to work with us yet. We'll tell you that. But we're not.
There's something about what you said right there, Ben, that I think is really important. To sidebar is that you may already feel like this is the judgment zone. Basically, you may already feel like that's the answer you're going to get before you come and meet with us. How many people have we sat down and we've given the advice that they needed to hear to give them some direction to avoid some of those pitfalls that they might be heading towards, and then we see them in a year. We see them back in 2 years because now they're in a totally different place and they've made the adjustments that they needed to make to get on track.
Oh, yeah. No, I've had people who I met with that I can say it's been over a decade. I'm thinking of one person specifically that I met that I couldn't work with because her money was controlled by a company plan and so forth and so on. I gave her direction. I gave her advice. I worked with her. We chatted about some things that she should do and improve on. She's right now. She
came to you a lot later.
Right now, in the process of becoming a client,
which
is very nice. I mean, we chatted about very, it was never pushy. It was just like, hey, listen, well, I really can't help you right now, but I can help you with some allocations in your retirement plan. I think there's some direction changes you should make in how you do that. I said these are kind of some other areas you could focus on doing as well, and we went through those processes, and she did, most of those. And now she's very thankful for that advice, and she's back, and I think that's ultimately we're about the long road. We're about the big picture. We believe that relationship will take it to the next level. Now, I can't say that you're going to get that everywhere. I mean, obviously with all the,
types of venues you could go to. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, considering all the different stories out there, the bad, the good, and the ugly, I mean, it seems like there's a lot of bad ones out there, but I think knowing that you can go somewhere, get an opinion, and at least make sure it's like a health checkup, right? When you go get your blood tested, I just did all my blood work and everything like that. Got stuff back. Hey, I'm good. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I want to make sure that nothing's out of a line. I want to make sure, I was talking to the doctor. He said, these are a little higher. It's not a lot. It's nothing to be worried about, but maybe we could just impact your body better by doing this and adjusting the sales a little bit. Nothing I need to go back for. I'm not going to see the doctor 20 more times. It was a simple annual visit. So those types of things can exist in our world. Just even getting a checkup every couple of years, just making sure that you didn't miss something. I mean, with all the tax law changes, I'm shocked that we're not getting more phone calls about that.
Yeah. I think there's people out there kind of get a sense of being uncomfortable because of some of the different factors that we talked about before. But I think a lot of times, too, it's kind of the financial culture out there that makes people feel ashamed when it comes to their money. The way things are marketed today. It seems when I see these commercials on TV, it may be for Fidelity, it may be for Charles Schwab or any large insurance company, and they show retirement, and retirement shows a guy with his beautiful wife on the sailboat sailing off into the sunset, and it gives this kind of picture that this is how everyone spends their retirement. And if you're not there, well, you need to save so that you can be there. And the truth is, most of the people we talk to, I would say the great majority, guys, and I don't know if you agree with me on this, but the great majority of the people that we talk to, it's not glamorous retirements that they have. It's not multiple vacation homes and this and that. Yeah. It's just regular people. In fact, Seth, we were just talking about that book, The Millionaire Next Door. I think we'll highlight that in a later show. That's a book that just talks about the people that really have the money and the wealth. It's not people that are out there sailing their boats across the world and that kind of thing. Of course, there are those people that are doing that. But it's people that have saved and have just saved on a consistent basis. And I think the culture really makes people think, just like when it comes to the fitness culture, everyone has to be buff and it has to be weigh so much and it has to be this exact cut figure. Well, that's not the majority of people. And I think the way financial marketing is done sometimes, it makes people feel maybe inferior to the way that they should feel. There's no reason for that. And I think there is certainly that judgment zone out there with people. And really people shouldn't have to worry about what people think of them when it comes to their financial fitness, in other words.
You're listening to Money on Tap. We're going to take a quick break and we'll be right back. You can reach us at 855-226-8551 or email us at info@yourmoneyontap.com.
Hello, my name is John Ryder, a partner with Brayshaw Financial Group and one of the co-hosts of Money on Tap. 10,000 Americans are turning 65 every day, and planning a successful retirement today is more challenging than ever, with a roller coaster stock market, political and economic uncertainty, and so many unknowns when it comes to the escalating costs of healthcare. Let us show you how we utilize the 3D method of investing, utilizing insurance, brokerage, and fee-based planning. Using our experience, let us help you plan for a successful retirement. Now is the right time to start getting help. Give us a call at Brayshaw Financial Group at 855-226-8551. Headquartered in Bedford, New Hampshire, we have offices across the country. We would love the opportunity to meet with you. There's absolutely no cost or obligation to meet with us, and we welcome you to our offices. Call 855-226-8551 today.
More Money on Tap in just a moment. On today's Cliff Notes edition of Money on Tap, Seth Krussman sends us a warning. There are no guarantees, and even the best companies who promise to take care of us in our retirement years may not always come through. It's up to us to have a plan in place for our financial future, one that goes above and beyond what we may have been promised.
What's happening in some of the U.S. cities like Detroit, Puerto Rico, U.S. territory, they are claiming bankruptcy. They have pension obligations of $1.23 billion. These are areas, I think, in most of our minds, most of our thinking that we say this is going to be okay. We kind of let down our guard and we think, okay, well, we've done the work. We're trusting these organizations. We're trusting these systems to do what they said they're going to do and to perform. The truth is that we deal with this all the time. We can't say guaranteed here on the air. Like, oh, we can't talk about something and say, well, there's a guarantee that goes with that. There's areas that we try to even work in to try to create some security as well. But these are massive organizations that have just told people that we're going to take care of you. And you know what? It's lulled people to sleep. A generation of people that are being lulled to sleep with guarantees. I mean, it makes me angry. It does make me angry and upsets me to find out that these people are ultimately lied to. And how do they recover when they're 65 years old and go from $45,000 a year of what was considered guaranteed income the rest of their life down to, $18,000, $25,000? How do you do that?
Thanks for joining us for this Cliff Notes edition of Money on Tap, with great tips from the pros in three-dimensional investing, utilizing insurance, brokerage, and fee-based planning. Now here's more Money on Tap with Seth, Ben, and John.
Welcome back. You're listening to Money on Tap, your personal finance headquarters, where we bring out the professionals' experience and some fun in what we call three-dimensional investing. You can reach us at 855-226-8551 or email us at info@yourmoneyontap.com.
So, we've been chatting about, the No Judgement Zone. Mm-hmm. And there's a side of this No Judgement Zone that people who may listen to our radio show, which I'm really glad that people do, and I mean, we've had great response on the number of listeners we had, which is really exciting.
We're grateful for that for sure.
Yeah, and but there's a group of people that I know are listening to this show who are living in credit card debt. Mm-hmm. And I have a few stories of some really successful credit card debt stories.
Yeah, those are scary, aren't they? When you hear about those, because the interest rates are just so high that can really hurt them.
Yeah, I had a family member refer their sister and husband, and said they needed some financial help, and they had some retirement plans at work and so forth and so on. And when we uncovered it, it was supposedly $10,000 or $15,000 or $20,000 of credit card debt. Well, the husband left to go to the bathroom or something, or I can't remember. This is a long time ago. It was, I can't remember all the details, or he wasn't in that meeting or something.
Yeah. And
she confessed to me that the credit card debt was not $20,000, and so when we uncovered it, it was about $50,000. Mm-hmm. But then we uncovered more, and more, and it was, I think, close to $120,000 of credit card debt.
Wow.
it was a very, I mean, she was sobbing in tears. She
Yeah.
hadn't shared that with anybody.
Yeah.
It was a very difficult conversation with a husband. And we worked with them. We worked with them for about 2 years, helping them, get out of that debt, kind of getting them a second start. And it was a very difficult time in their life. And they are doing well now. I mean, they don't have any credit cards. They don't live on credit cards because they can't control that. So
Yeah.
they've acknowledged that. And the husband got involved. And so, he apologized to her at the end of the day. She was living on this credit card debt and bearing this emotional burden herself.
That's
And
difficult. That's a
and
hard
he's
thing.
like, it's my fault. I let you handle everything, and I didn't realize. I wish I had known, And it wasn't, I mean, there was some frivolous spending. I mean, they didn't make a ton of money, but it was really like bouncing. She was just paying so much in interest. The interest they got behind on the interest.
Yeah, they probably had a much less charge, but the interest, as I was saying before, just really, really adds up real quickly, and you can't even imagine that sometimes maybe even your interest could be more than what you originally spent on the cards, and that may be the case there.
And then I had another scenario with a young couple who the wife had built up some credit card debt and intentionally kept it away from the husband, and that was another thing. It wasn't as big and as monstrous, and they got out of it, and they've dealt with that issue. And he also acknowledged, I just let her handle it, because it was easy. He kind of, and I think she was good with money, but not as good as he was. And so if you're listening to this show and you're feeling abandoned, you're feeling alone, you're struggling through that problem, we are not specialists in that area, but we can help. And we can help get you help in the different areas of those types of things. So I know that's a big issue. I know there's people out there listening in our spend world that are sitting there saying, I do have a retirement plan. I do have this 401k. I can't take that out because I'm going to pay taxes. But I'm living in this debt, and I need to figure out how to get out of this.
Yeah, and you know what? There's a lot of people out there that are scared to talk to someone because they think they'll be judged on that. And let me tell you, there's a lot of different reasons for credit card debt. It's not just because I just want to go out and spend and vacations and buy new things all the time. It may be you may have been backed into a corner at a time. Maybe you were without a job for 6 months or a year and a half or two. There's a lot of people in the New England area that when the tech business went south here, they had a real hard time getting work again. And that means when your income stops and unemployment stops and all that, it could put you in a situation where your bills keep on coming, but your income is totally slowed down, so you're backed into a corner. And it may be medical bills where you somehow you didn't have insurance, and all of a sudden you're hit with the $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 of bills that you didn't even know were coming. And so we've seen it all. And if we can help you in one way or another, we certainly want to do that and be an encouragement to you, if nothing else, to help you get going in the right direction. We'd certainly love to do that. That's really, as Ben said, it's not really our specialty. However, in the past, we've been able to help people in a lot of different areas when it comes to that kind of thing.
It's interesting to get into, the judgment, the area of judgment, and it's easy for us to do, and we all fall into this kind of a trap, I guess, is trying to understand what's in front of us, but using that judgment in a way that categorizes people or puts people into a place where we just don't identify, or we don't give them the freedom to be an individual and to make their own choices and to have their own opinions. Take anybody out there that's putting, something out into the media about, call it a pro-Republican or pro-Democrat or whatever the stance might be. I mean, it's just so polar to start to judge somebody's intelligence by, what their opinion might be or what their experience might be. And I think it's interesting to find out, if you get a room full of people together, it seems that whoever knows the most about money or has the most money in the group seems to then have some kind of a power card. And that's not necessarily true. It's everybody's experience is valuable.
It's the
at the
perceived
table.
money card too. I said,
yes,
right.
We've
Yes.
chatted about this. It's amazing how, we've got clients worth, millions upon millions upon millions upon millions of dollars, and they shop at Goodwill. They drive a used car.
Most do.
And it's not a big deal for them. And they probably would still be worth millions, but just not millions upon millions if they live differently. So there is that perception, Seth, that you're talking about is good.
Kira, my wife, lived in Los Angeles for, I want to say around 5 years before she moved back to
God's country.
Hillsborough. Yeah. Anyways, one of the things that really surprised me was how important it is the car you drive. What car you drive in Los Angeles determines everybody's opinion.
Yeah.
And I get it, but it's like such a Los Angeles attitude. But it's one that we can all recognize in our own experience of either judging highly or judging lowly. Somebody that's in front of us. But Los Angeles is definitely a city that doesn't rely on public transportation. Not like New York, where it's like, what are you doing? You're riding the subway, right? You get around with public transportation in New York. You don't drive a car. You get a cab, right? It's very different. And so depending on where
usually when I'm in LA, I have a driver. That's just basically how it works for me out in LA,
Right.
So,
Well, I was just in Manhattan and making a presentation last week, and one of the gentlemen I was with was like, he's like, "Oh, where are you parked?" It's like, "Well, I'm in the garage. It's about 3-4 blocks away." He's like, "You want to grab a cab?" And it's bumping up over traffic. And I'm like, "No, I'm gonna walk. I don't want to sit in a cab with you for 2 hours."
That's funny.
Yeah. But you're right. And in New England, because the weather's so bad, it's hard to keep cars nice and stuff like that. People are not big car. They're not into big. There are a lot of nice cars out there, but
there's a lot of summer cars. I see coming in the summertime. After the spring and the thaw from the winter, I start seeing some pretty fancy cars out in
you
my neck of the woods.
More, but it's just not like the LA story.
No, it's not.
Yeah, it's probably more. Every geography. Take wherever you live, it's going to be different. Like
Subaru's in New Hampshire.
Yeah, what I hear about New England is, where do you summer?
Yeah.
If you're in Los Angeles, it's always summer.
Right. That's
I don't know, the beach.
That's a good point. Well, as we kind of wrap up this show, and if you're feeling nervous or you have anxiety about meeting with a financial planner, you're not alone. We're here to try to help you with questions. If you want to call in, we work with a number of charities as well that we provide that service to. Family Builders is one of them that we work with as well, and we believe that financial success is really, the first step to finding just general health in life sometimes, because the Bible talks about money so much. It's such an overwhelming and scary topic. So we just want to encourage people that this is a no judgment zone. We want to help. That's what we're here for, and hope you give us a call if you really need some.
Absolutely.
So that's going to do it for us today at Money on Tap. If you're looking for the no judgment zone when it comes to your money, we encourage that, you look no further. It's our job to help you where you are. And we like to think that we do a very good job of providing financial advice when it comes to the judgment factor. You can reach us at 855-226-8551 or email us at info@yourmoneyontap.com. We look forward to talking with you and meeting you here at Brayshaw Financial Group. That's going to do it for us at Money on Tap. Have a great week.
On today's Cliff Notes edition of Money on Tap, John Ryder explains the tax advantages of the Roth IRA.
A Roth IRA is really a special retirement account that you can fund with post-tax income, so you can't deduct those contributions that you make into it. But once you have done this, all future withdrawals that you take from that Roth IRA are tax-free. That's a big point, because if you think about it, there are regular IRAs you can participate in. We call them traditional IRAs, and you're able to put so much money into those every year, but you get a tax break for doing that. So that sounds really good, and you might say, well, why would you ever recommend a Roth IRA when I can actually get a tax break for putting the money in now? Well, if you want a tax break later on, and that's what we're talking about here, a Roth IRA can be a very valuable tool for you to have. So understand, no upfront tax deduction for Roth IRA contributions, as there is with a traditional. But on the other hand, Roth distributions are tax-free when you follow the rules. And because every penny that you stash into a Roth IRA is your money, it's not a tax-subsidized gift from Uncle Sam, you can tap your contributions anytime, tax-free and penalty-free.
Thanks for joining us for this Cliff Notes edition of Money on Tap, with great tips from the pros in three-dimensional investing, utilizing insurance, brokerage, and fee-based planning. The views expressed are not necessarily the opinion of this radio station and should not be construed directly or indirectly as an offer to buy or sell any securities mentioned herein. Investing is subject to risks, including loss of principal invested. No strategy, product, material, or tool mentioned can assure a profit nor protect against loss. Please note that individual situations can vary. Therefore, the information, products, materials, or tools mentioned should be relied upon when coordinated with individual professional advice. Past performance is not a guarantee of future results. results. This show may be subsidized in whole or in part by a product sponsor or issuer. Securities and advisory services offered through SagePoint Financial Incorporated, member FINRA SIPC, and a registered investment advisor. All other services offered through Brayshaw Financial Group LLC are independent of SagePoint Financial. SagePoint Financial and Brayshaw Financial Group do not provide tax or legal advice. Main office is located at 116 South River Road, Bedford, New Hampshire, 03110, and can be reached at toll-free 855-226-8551.